We're looking at still being a light in a dark world, and we've shifted gears last week from Elijah to Elisha. And in Elisha, we see a man who really, by his faith, is going to be a light to all the world around him. Everybody's going to notice. In fact, that's what he sought. That's what he asked for. He said, as he was seeing Elijah, knowing he was going to be leaving, his one request was, I want to have a double portion of the Spirit that is on Elijah. And because he was able to see Elijah go up, that was God's answer. Yes, you shall receive a double portion of the Spirit of God on you. You will have that faith in God that will allow you to do many things. In fact, by many accounts, Elisha did exactly twice the number of miracles that Elijah did. I don't know if that's actually true, because I don't know if every one of them they ever did is listed. But at least of those listening to the Bible, we see him acting by faith. We even saw that last week with Elijah leaving. Elisha stepped forward in faith, realizing God was going to use him. And while he sought the Spirit that was on Elijah to move him forward, the prophets, the other prophets, were seeking who? Elijah. And we need to make sure we're doing that in our life too, that by faith we are seeking the Spirit of God. We are seeking the power of God, not the power that is in somebody and following them, but instead the Spirit of God, and seeking Him and having faith in Him. And we even saw last week, as there was a problem in the city of Jericho, the water was no good. We had Elisha not panicking, not getting all exercise, not worrying a moment, but just simply saying, hey, go get me a brand new cruse to put something in, and I'll throw some salt in there. We'll throw that in the water, and the entire water system was healed. Because that's how salt works. No, that's because God works, right? And we saw him already in the fame of him, and more importantly, the God who is with Elisha. People took notice, didn't they? Now this week we're going to turn a little bit, and we're going to look at faith in times of conflict. Two things are going to come up immediately in Elisha's ministry, where he's going to have to face, first of all, mocking, and then he's going to have to deal with opposition. And we're going to have these things too, aren't we? There's going to be times in our life when the world is going to mock us because, let's face it, the preaching of the gospel, the preaching of the cross is to them what? Foolishness. It's idiocy. They call us stupid. They call us backward. They call us idiotic for trusting in something that's not true, and they try to run us down. They will mock us, and they will also oppose the truth, won't they? They will say, I don't want to be under that authority. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to do it my way. And we're going to see here, as Elisha faced those, the choice that he made is the choice we need to make too, instead of sometimes the choices we do make. In fact, when you are faced with opposition, you have some choices to make, don't you? How many prefer to get fearful, scared, panic? Panic sets in. It's like, oh no, somebody's opposing me, somebody's challenging me. How many just get angry, mad, hateful, spiteful? It's like, hey, how dare you oppose me? How dare you mock what I believe in? How dare you do that? How many just get discouraged? Dismay, worry, fretful. It's like, oh, when will it stop? Right? When's it going to happen? How many instead say, I'm fighting back. I'm doing it my way. I'm going to take them down. I'm going to show them what for. I'm going to go after them, and I'm going to stick it to them. Are any of those the right responses? Are any of those the responses of faith in God? Or are they more faith in us, or even faith that they've got something really important to say? Or that they may even win? Do they have any chance of winning? So why do we get fearful? Why do we worry? Why do we even get angry? Why do we even get upset at all? Why do we do any of those things instead of doing what we should do, which is what? Just trust God. And that's what we're going to see Elisha do. Very plainly, very simply, and in the first case, very grotesquely. So let's get, you want to read it now, don't you? Let's all go to 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. And the first thing he's going to face is a bunch of kids. Lads. For lack of a better word, punks. Young punks are going to come out. And they are going to mock this man of God. And we're going to see in verse 23, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23, it says, "And Elisha went up from there, from Jericho, unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children." Now the term there, little children, it's interesting. That can be interpreted everything from infants to about teenagers. I doubt it was infants. I don't think these are a bunch of diaper-wearing kids running around saying this, okay? And these a bunch of kids. How many? We'll see in a minute. Don't think this is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. We're talking a bunch of kids from the town start following him and start mocking him. In fact, look what they say. "And as he was going by the way, there came forth little children out of the city and mocked him and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head." So, as children often do, and frankly adults acting like children, what do they go after? His appearance. And what was his appearance like? Oh, we got a good group here today. Where's Bob when you need him? No. What was his physical appearance? He had no what? He had very little hair on his head. So of course, them being kids, they decided to mock that. And instead of looking at them and saying, "This could be you someday," and mocking them back, he did not take that tactic. I also want you to note something else. It occurred to me this week. What was the first part of what they said? Go up. Go up. And it never struck me that they could be referring to the fact that Elisha had been telling everybody what happened to Elijah. He what? Went up. He just went up. And they could be mocking him, mocking his story. It's like, "Oh, man of God, why don't you go up too? Why don't you go on up with Elijah? Why don't you go on up your story?" Did they believe the story? Did they believe that Elijah was taken up? It seems like they're mocking his truth as well as his person. And will they come at us like that? "Oh, Jesus Christ is coming again." "Oh, well, where is he? He hasn't come yet." That's what Peter says is going to happen, right? They will mock us. "How dare you say he's coming again? Where is he? You say he's alive. Where is he?" And they will mock what we believe. They will mock the truth. Was Elijah taken up in a whirlwind? Yes. Were there chariots? Yes. And they will mock the truth. And they will throw it in your face and say, "Prove it," right? And then they'll also attack us physically. They'll go after us, go after our education or our money or whatever. They'll go after us, and they will attack us personally. So, what did Elisha do? Did he panic? No. Did he become fearful? No. Did he attack the way they attacked? Did he start also lobbing insults back at them? By the way, very bad tactic. Whenever we start attacking the world the way they attack us, we start going after their appearance. We start going after what they believe in. We start mocking them. Does that get us anywhere? What does it become? A bunch of kids mocking each other. We basically become like a third grade schoolyard, right? Is that very effective at getting the truth? No. People mocking each other doesn't get to the truth. Is that what he did? Notice what he did. Verse 24. "And he turned back." This has been going on for some time, just constantly coming at him. "And looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord." Now, how many seem that's pretty rough? But I want you to notice something. In whose name did he do this? In the name of, he's not on his own behalf. He's not attacking them. He's not going after them. He's not taking his fist and saying, "Let's go, kids," which I wouldn't do, by the way, if I were him, because he was a bit outnumbered and a little overaged for that crowd. But he didn't physically attack them. He didn't go after them. Instead, he gave it up to who? And can we do the same thing? Did David ever pray that the Lord would smite his enemies? Is that okay to ask for? To me, the answer is what? Yes, because whose hands are you putting on? Who are you having faith in? Who are you having faith in to protect you and to actually give the vengeance? Give it, and we're told to do that, aren't we? Vengeance is mine, saith the what? Lord. It's not for us to get angry. It's not for us to attack. It's not for us to take revenge. It's not for us to do that, but lay it in God's hand. And that's what he did. He said basically, Lord, do something about this. Teach them a lesson. And what could God have said? No, it's okay. Or he could have done this. Option 2. God had a lot of options, and he decided on this one. Verse 24, right there in the middle. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and mauled 42 children of them. So, like I said, don't get a picture of like these 2 little punk kids. There were at least 42. 42 of them. There could have been 100 out there. All these kids chasing after him and doing these things. And the Lord decided to do what? To bring out some female bears and maul 42 of them. Did that get everybody's attention? How could there possibly be that many children, young men, in Jericho with that kind of attitude, who thought it was okay to go and mock somebody, to mock the truth? They all had what? Parents. And how many think that this whole story got back to Jericho pretty quick? Now, should we wish harm on our enemies? That's a bad attitude. But should we say to the Lord, Lord, in your wisdom, in your vengeance, do not allow this to continue. Teach them a lesson. And evidently, the lesson was what? She-bears. I can send bears. He's sent bees before. He has sent bears. He has sent wolves. He can send anything he wants, can he? On these people to get their attention. And when it says he cursed them, you notice, I know so many of the commentaries, amazing, like he called on bears to come and attack them. Did he? He just said what? Lord, take care of it. The Lord decided to send bears. The Lord's the one decided to come and maul 42 of them to be a message to all the rest and the entire city that the Lord is king and is not to be mocked, right? And that's where we have to lay it. By faith, when we are attacked, by faith, don't take it yourself. Don't be fearful. Don't panic. Don't worry. Don't do any of that stuff except lay it on whose hands? Let the Lord take care of it. And can the Lord take care of it? Can the Lord take care of himself? He's proven that over and over again. In fact, let's go to Psalm 118. Keep something in 2 Kings there. Let's go to Psalm 118, verses 4 through 6. Psalm 118. We're going to start in verse 4. Let them now that fear the Lord say that his mercy endures forever. Is the Lord always going to be there for you? Does his mercy and his grace and his protection and his power, is it on you forever? All those who love the Lord. How many love the Lord here today? You got it. His mercy endures forever. He's on your side forever. Verse 5. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear what man will do to me. So when they start mocking, when they start coming after us, what's the first thing? Do not fear. Trust the Lord, right? Trust in the Lord. Is the Lord bigger than your enemy? This is a constant fight. Kids will say, oh, there's a bug, there's a bug, there's a bug. And oh, there's a bug. What's my answer to that every single time? Hey, you guys have heard me say it 100 times. Are you bigger than the bug? Why are you fearful of a little bug? Are you bigger than it is? Just take care of it, right? Now, I know there's psychological things and other things that go into that, right, Derek? But let's face it, you're bigger than the bug. Same for us. When mankind, even if the whole world came after us, even the whole world said we were going to destroy you, is our God bigger than they are? How much bigger? Bigger than us to an ant. Right? Even if the whole world turns against us, if God is on our side, we're going to be okay, aren't we? So, Do not fear. Trust in the Lord. In fact, let's go to Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Does God even care? Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived. See, a lot of people out there don't think God cares when God is mocked. That God doesn't care when the world doesn't listen to him, doesn't care. But what does it say? Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also what? Reap. God cares, and God does take care of himself, doesn't he? And will he take care of us? So he is not mocked. They're not going to get away with it, are they? God does judge. And we need to trust him. We need to call upon him in those situations. When the enemy is getting all full of itself and starts attacking and starts saying this, that, and the other thing, don't go down the mud with them. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. Don't worry. Don't dismay. Turn it over to who? Say, Lord, take care of this. Show the world the truth. And will he? Yeah, he'll take care of it. Trust in him. So when the world mocks, relax. Trust the Lord. Okay? Let him take care of it and turn it over to him and say, Lord, you take care of it. And he will. In his time. He may not do it the way you want him to. May not do it when you want him to. But he will do it the right time, the right way to get his message out that he is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Amen? Just trust him. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to chapter 3 of 2 Kings. And let's see, first of all, I'm going to back up a little bit and do verses 1 through 4 because we need to know something. Ahab died, right? We saw that. He died in battle, even though he tried to trick the other side. He died in battle, and his son took over. Well, we also saw what happened to his son. His son's the one that fell down and never got out of bed again, as Elijah had said so. Well, his other son is now king. Chapter 3, verse 1. Now Jehoram, the son of Ahab, the second son, now to be king, began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father. Boy, that's finally. Get a break in his family, right? Omri and then Ahab, and then at least we have now one not like his father and like his mother, Jezebel. For he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Good. But, nevertheless, he cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. So he still encouraged idol worship. He still did not want people going down into Judah, going down into the temple. Still didn't want that stuff, but at least he got rid of the Baal stuff. So not completely horrible, but not great either. Okay? So that's the situation in verse 4. And Mesha, king of Moab, was a sheep master, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. So basically Moab was a servant to Israel, and they would pay a tax of 100,000 lambs, 100,000 rams with the wool. That's a lot, by the way. I can't even imagine 100,000 lambs, 100,000 rams, but that's what they would have to pay. And that's what they were paying when King Ahab was in charge. But when King Ahab leaves, what do they decide to do? We are now going to oppose. We no longer want to be under the authority. We want to be on our own. Verse 5. But it came to pass when Ahab was dead, that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram went out of Samaria at the same time and numbered all Israel. So he says, okay, I'm going to figure out how many fighting men we have, and we are going to go and get them back. Now let's face facts. If people are living under the truth, will they rebel against it at some point? Yes, it's nature. They don't want to be in the authority of God. They don't want to be it. So will they oppose us when we say, no, this is the right way? Yes, they will. We will face opposition. Now this is actually a physical opposition. They're actually going to say, we don't want to give you the tax. But in our life, we will face opposition too. Opposition to the truth is always going to be there. They don't like it. So he goes and he numbers how many his fighting men has. Verse 7. And King Jehoram went and sent to Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, saying, the king of Moab has rebelled against me. Will you go with me against Moab to battle? And Jehoshaphat said, I will go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. Exactly the same thing he said to his father when they went to battle and shouldn't have. Verse 8. And he said, which way shall we go up? So Jehoram, how are we going to go? How are we going to travel up there to Moab? What's the direction we need to go? And Jehoram answered, the way through the wilderness of Edom. And while they go that way, they pick up the king of Edom too. They're all related, by the way. The Edomites are the descendants of Esau. The Moabites are actually the descendants of Abraham. So they're all in the family, but they're fighting against each other, as they do. And so the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey. And there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. So these three kings get together and they say, we're going to go and we're going to take back Moab. What's missing from that conversation? Anybody notice what was missing? King Jehoram of Israel says, let's go. Jehoshaphat says, sounds good. I'll go with you. Where are we going? Oh, we'll take this way through Edom. They pick up the king of Edom. They're all going, and they're going 7 days' journey, and they run out of water. What did they forget? Where's God? Did anybody think to ask God, which way should we go? Where is there water? How can we go? What's the best way? Should we even attack? Should we even bring them back? What should we do? They completely forgot about God, didn't they? Which leads to the next verse. Verse 10. And the king of Israel, Jehoram, says, alas, the Lord has called these three kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. Wait a minute. Did they ever ask God whether they should go? Is God the one that sent them? How often do we do this, by the way? Everything goes wrong and we start blaming God, forgetting that we never asked God to begin with. Whether we should even be doing this. And so he what? Panics. They have a problem and he panics because he never went to the Lord anyways. He didn't do the right thing anyways. He knows it. So he panics and blames God. What does Jehoshaphat do though? Verse 11. But Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. There was this man who served Elijah. He's a man of God. Jehoshaphat has the right answer, right? When you have a problem, what's the first thing you should do? Seek God's counsel, right? Seek the answer from God. What should we do? They should have done it at the beginning. But is God still going to help them? Yeah. Even when we make mistakes and go the wrong way, is God still with us? His mercy endureth forever, right? So, verse 12. And Jehoshaphat said, the word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to Elisha. And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, what have I to do with you? Elisha has a little bit of Elijah in him, doesn't he? It's like, why are you bothering me? You didn't ask me before. You've never asked me before. You've never cared my opinion or God's opinion until now. What am I doing with you? What do you want? Get thee to the prophets of thy father and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, nay, for the Lord hath called these three kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. He's still back on what? God sent us out here to kill us. He sent us out here to die. Did he? No. God's in fact got a pretty good plan here. Verse 14. And Elisha said, as the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee nor see thee. But now bring me a minstrel. And it shall come to pass when the minstrel played that the hand of the Lord came upon him. So, he gets a minstrel. Somebody play some instruments. Maybe it was a guitar, right? Play a little song. So, he does for the sake of Jehoshaphat, because God is not going to abandon his children, is he? Even when we make mistakes, even when we run the wrong way, he will not abandon us, will he? And he gives to Elijah this plan. Great plan. Verse 16. And he said, thus saith the Lord, make this valley full of ditches. Here's the plan of God. Go down in the valley there and dig a bunch of ditches. That sounds like a good plan? What do they lack? They have no water. They have no water, and frankly, they have no plan for actually attacking Moab. They've got nothing because they didn't talk to God to begin with. So God's plan is go dig a bunch of ditches. And when you got a bunch of army people like Marines, that's basically all you do all day anyways, isn't it? Dig a ditch, dig a ditch. So they were very well accomplished, and they went out, and in the valley they just dug a bunch of ditches. What's God doing? Something great. And Elisha is putting his faith in who? God's plan, right? Do we need to do the same thing? How are they going to win? How are they going to overcome the opposition? They have no water and they have no plan for success. But God does, doesn't he? And Elisha says, let's trust him. Let's dig a bunch of ditches. Verse 17. For thus saith the Lord, you shall not see wind, neither shall you see rain. Yet the valley shall be filled with water, that you may drink, both you and your cattle and your beasts. Out of nowhere, there's going to come some water. No rain, no wind, no storm. Just a whole bunch of water is going to come down the valley, and the ditches will catch it all, and then everybody can go down, and they can drink their fill, and the horses and everybody can drink. But that's not all. God's got a double purpose for this. He even has a better plan. Verse 18. And this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. But wait, there's more. This is just part of the plan. This is just a small part of what God is going to do. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand, and you shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop all the wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. Just came running down, flushing down, and rolling into the valley, and filling every single ditch with water. But how does that get rid of the Moabites? Got a faith, huh? By faith they dug the ditches. By faith they trusted in the Lord. Do you see any panic here by Elisha? Do you see any fear here by Elisha? He's very matter of fact. We can be the same. Just do it God's way, right? And it'll all work out. In fact, what was God's plan? Verse 21. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor and upward, and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. So they looked out over that valley, and as the sun hit it, they thought it was just giant pools of blood. And they got an idea, because what does blood mean? That means death. That means the Edomites and the Israelites and the men of Judah killed each other. That means they're all dead. That means they're all gone. That means all their stuff, all their weapons and everything, we can just go down and take it. Doesn't that make sense? Who didn't they talk to? They didn't talk to God either, did they? So God put this idea in their head that somehow they just all killed each other overnight. So just go down and take everything. And that's what they did. And their arrogance, they just said, let's go. Verse 23, and they said, this is blood. The kings are surely slain, and they have smitten one another. Now therefore, Moab, to the spoil. And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites even into their own country. So if you're an Israelite, that's kind of funky, isn't it? They just come rolling in, just kind of walking in. And they were ready. And they took them. And this is something we need to keep in mind. As the world opposes, who are they trusting in for their advice? Anybody knows anything? Anybody understands anything? And in fact, in their arrogance, what will they always do? Entrap themselves. In their assumptions and what they see and what they understand and what they believe to be truth. They will always trip themselves up. They will always fall into God's trap. They will always be defeated by the truth, won't they? Do you believe that? So why are we getting so panicky? Why are we worrying? Why do we even see them as an adversary? Verse 25. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone and filled it, and they stopped all the wells of water and felled all the good trees. Only in Kir Harosheth left they the stones thereof. Howbeit the slingers went about it and smote it. So did God keep his promise? All they had to do was dig some ditches and let God work, and gave them total victory. And I want you to notice the reaction of the opposer, the king of Moab. And this is what they do. They lean into their lies. They lean into the things that will never, ever help them. And this is sad. Verse 26. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords to break through, even to the king of Edom, but they could not. So they'll start swinging, they'll start fighting, they'll start doing anything they can, but can they defeat the truth? Can they defeat God? They're going to try one more thing, though. Verse 27. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. They will do anything to try to win. But can they win? Their faith is in nothing. Their faith is in lies. Their faith is in things that will not stand up. So why are we so concerned? And there was great indignation against Israel, and departed from him and returned to their own land. Israel did what they wanted to. God gave them the absolute victory. What are the keys to that victory? Seek who? Who has the answers? Who has the truth? Seek God. They didn't start that way, did they? They didn't seek God at the beginning. But by wisdom, Jehoshaphat and that servant of the king at least knew, and Elisha was there, right? And they sought, and then we've got to do what? Ask God. What should we do? How should we respond? What should we do? And then we got to do what? Trust God. Do what he says. Again, no panic, no hate, no anger, no worry. Just seek the Lord, ask him what we should do, and then trust him enough to do it. And sometimes it's what? Just be quiet. Let them run around in circles. Let them just do it. And sometimes it's what? Just speak the truth, right? And trust in the Lord. In fact, let's go to Psalm 18. Psalm 18, we're going to start in verse 1. Just a little reminder here for us. Psalm 18, 1. I will love thee, O Lord, my, what? Strength. God is our strength. Not our own intelligence, not our great wisdom, not our great ability to argue or fight. Who is our strength? God is our strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. Who are we going to call on? Don't say Ghostbusters. Call on the Lord. As you see things and you start getting that anger inside of you, you get that opposition, you start getting that worry, you start getting that panic, start getting that fear, who should you call on? Call on the Lord. You are my strength. You are my fortress. You are my buckler. You're the one I'm trusting in. Not myself, not any of those things. I'm going to trust in you. Verse 5, the sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. And if God hears us, will he act? Will he do what he needs to do? Does he love us? Are we his children? Absolutely. Remember that, right? Remember who God is. He is our Father who loves us very much. He is the one of truth. He's the one who's holy. He's the powerful one, isn't he? And let's also remember, what about the other side? Psalm 96, verse 5. Psalm 96, verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are what? Idols. They're nothing. All the bluster, all the hate, all the nonsense. It's all idols. Worthless human junk. But, what? The Lord made the heavens. The God that's on our side created what? Everything. He created the heavens and the earth, and he sent his son to die for us, and he is the way, the truth, and the life. He is everything. So why do we panic? Why do we worry? Are they going to win? Yeah. Their gods are idols. They're not going to win. Are they going to defeat us? Are they going to defeat the truth? Absolutely not. They got nothing. God's on our side. So just trust. When they mock, just trust the Lord. Trust the Lord to take care of the situation, right? Lay it in his hands. I'm not promising bears, but God will take care of it, won't he? He will guard his truth. And when they start opposing us, opposing the truth, saying, I don't want that, I'm trying to destroy it, trying to get rid of it, don't panic. It cannot destroy the truth. Cannot destroy the truth of God. Cannot destroy his plan. Cannot stop his plan, can they? So just trust in the Lord. Say, Lord, what should I do? What should I say? How should I act? Lord, let me glorify you in all things, that they may see you in me, right? That's what we should be trying to do. And it's hard. It's hard because looking around the room, yes, I'm going to guess we're all human, right? I think so. A couple I'm not so sure about. But we're human. We're fallen. We're sinners. Right? When people oppose, when they attack, when they mock, there's that little bit of ego in ourselves, isn't there? That little bit of person in ourselves. We want to take care of it. We want to handle it. And then we get scared because we realize we can't. And things like that happen. And we got to just step back and call upon the Lord. He is worthy to be praised. So shall I be safe from my enemies, right? And trust in the Lord to take care of it. Because he's got better words. He's got a better plan. He has a better reaction. And he can do a lot more than we can. Is that true? Do you believe that? Trust that. That's the kind of faith Elisha had. He didn't take it into his own hands. He always gave it to the Lord. And we're going to see that a little more even next week. So, all right. So, how do we handle all this? It's going to keep coming, by the way. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep coming at us. Just put it in the Lord's hands. Let him take care of it. And use you for what is right. Let's pray.